Welcome to this explainer. You know, we share our homes, our couches, and our entire lives with our dogs. But beneath the surface of those wagging tails and eager eyes lies a deeply complex, unseen psychological depth. Today, we're going to map the hidden emotional landscape of our closest companions.
Take a second and picture your dog resting. We naturally just assume, hey, they're exhausted from a long day. But I want to throw a somewhat haunting question your way. When they close their eyes, what are they really escaping? Are they just resting their physical bodies, or are they actually seeking refuge from a world of sensory input, hidden anxieties, and environmental pressures that we completely control? Let's find out.
Section 1. The Hidden World Within.
The behaviors we see every single day, that's literally just the tip of the iceberg. To truly understand their inner world, we first have to learn to read their physical cues the right way. Let's look at the difference between two states we constantly mix up. Exhaustion is a happy, temporary state. Your dog ran around for an hour, drank a bowl of water, and crashed. Totally normal. But lethargy is this persistent loss of their inner spark. A lethargic dog won't even respond to their normal environmental triggers, like the sound of the doorbell or spotting the neighborhood cat out the window. If that spark is gone for more than 24 hours, it's not just a mood, it's a medical or psychological red flag.
Just take a look at the sheer volume of rest our dogs actually require here. Dogs are what we call polyphasic sleepers, which is a fancy way of saying they sleep in short bursts throughout the day. While your average adult dog needs about 12 to 14 hours, puppies and seniors can sleep up to 20 hours a day. Having this concrete baseline is absolutely crucial. If your dog's sleep habits drastically deviate from this chart, it's often the very first whisper that something in their hidden world is out of balance.
Moving on to Section 2. Shadows of the Canine Mind.
Just like us, dogs can actually suffer from immense psychological pressure. And when that mental weight gets to be too much, it brings us to a pretty dark reality of canine psychopathology, canine compulsive disorder, or CCD. Essentially, this is an abnormal, repetitive behavior that has zero apparent goal. It's driven by underlying stress, genetics, or even environmental confinement. It's incredibly important to recognize that this isn't just a quirky habit. This condition deeply mirrors human obsessive-compulsive struggles.
The physical warning signs of severe stress and CCD are honestly heartbreaking once you know what you're looking at. We're talking about obsessive shadow or light chasing, pacing endlessly in tight circles, or something called lick granulomas, which is where a dog will literally lick their own skin until open ulcers form. There's also pica, which is eating objects that aren't food at all. The research actually highlights this incredibly tragic case of a terrier named Bumbly who compulsively chased shadows and literally ate his way right through plasterboard walls.
Now, the absolute crucial takeaway here is that this is deeply biological. In fact, scientists have pinpointed canine chromosome 7 as the direct genetic link between dog compulsions and human OCD. It's wild to think about. That biological connection between our species is so profound that dogs with CCD are often successfully treated with the exact same medications we use for humans, like clomipramine or fluoxetine.
Section 3. Chemistry and Canine Emotion.
You know, a dog eating from a bowl seems like the most mundane thing in the world. But what is actually in that bowl? A lot of cheap, commercial dog foods use heavy fillers like corn. And the hidden psychological cost of that is absolutely staggering. You see, corn is unusually low in an amino acid called tryptophan. Without enough tryptophan, the brain just can't produce enough serotonin. And serotonin is the exact neurotransmitter they need to keep their mood, sleep, and arousal levels balanced. So without even realizing it, we could be starving their brains of emotional stability.
To put into perspective just how powerful this chemical connection is, researchers actually tracked puppy classes filled with what owners assumed were just hopelessly hyper dogs. All they did was remove those high-carbohydrate junk food diets. That's it. And within just 2 weeks, a massive 75% of those hyper puppies visibly calmed down. Their behavior wasn't a training issue at all. It was a literal chemical imbalance being fed to them straight out of a bag.
Section 4. Seasons and Circadian Rhythms.
The literal environment around our dogs plays a massive role in their brain chemistry too. Think about something we call the autumn shift. As daylight wanes in the fall, the actual hormonal math in a dog's brain changes. Less light triggers a spike in sleep-inducing melatonin, while simultaneously dropping that mood-stabilizing serotonin we were just talking about. This disruption in their circadian rhythm fundamentally alters how their brain functions.
Since they obviously can't just look at us and tell us they're feeling down, we really have to look out for the quiet indicators of canine seasonal depression. Are they napping way more than normal? Is their appetite fluctuating out of nowhere? Are they suddenly restless during those longer, darker nights? Or maybe acting unusually clingy? If you do spot these signs, you can actually fight those autumn blues by using light therapy, sticking to strict daily routines, and bumping up their environmental enrichment.
Section 5. The aging dog's brain.
Way too often, hidden cognitive decline is completely dismissed by well-meaning owners with a sigh and a, well, they're just getting old. But the clinical reality is often something called cognitive dysfunction syndrome, or CDS. This is a degenerative disease that hits dogs usually over the age of 9. It's caused by a toxic buildup of beta-amyloid proteins in the brain. Basically, the loss of neurons is literally degrading their capacity to process the world around them, and it is remarkably and tragically similar to Alzheimer's disease in humans.
The symptoms of CDS carry a really heavy emotional weight. You might catch your dog staring blankly into space, or maybe they walk into a corner and literally forget how to back out. They might start wandering aimlessly in the dark, completely forget their house training, or most devastatingly, they might fail to recognize the very family members who have loved them their whole lives. It's crucial to understand this isn't them misbehaving, it's the heartbreaking fading of a companion's mind.
But we have to be super careful here diagnostically. It is so important to differentiate between cognitive dysfunction and hypothyroidism. Both of these are going to cause lethargy and profound dullness in older dogs. However, hypothyroidism is caused by thyroid damage and is actually highly treatable with just daily hormone supplements. CDS, on the other hand, requires entirely different supportive, medical, and environmental interventions. Accurate diagnosis is absolutely everything.
Section 6. Decoding the silence. To bring this whole narrative together, we need to look at a pretty chilling concept. In psychology, there's this devastating idea pioneered by Martin Seligman called learned helplessness. Basically, it happens when an animal learns they have zero control over their environment, so they just give up. They passively accept the distress. We'll often look at a perfectly quiet, motionless dog and think, oh, what a good, calm dog. But in reality, they might actually be in a state of deep depression, silently signaling a desperate need for help from a world they feel totally powerless to change.
True companionship means actively stepping in to prevent that kind of despair, and here are the steps we need to take. First, observe their baseline. You really need to know their normal sleep patterns, their habits, their unique spark. Second, constantly enrich both their physical and mental environment. Do not let them succumb to the sheer boredom of zoochosis. And third, seek out holistic and medical intervention the second their behavior starts to shift.
Which brings us to one final, lingering thought. We control when they eat, what they eat, when they go outside, and the entire environment they live in. If their entire emotional world is literally built by our choices, what are we really saying when we ignore their silence? It's a heavy question for sure, but answering it is the absolute key to truly understanding the hidden mind of the dog. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep observing, keep enriching, and please, never take their silence for granted.